everyone, this video is for worksheet 2-11 for discovering Algebra 1 Part 1. In this video, we're just talking about our different answers for X, and we're going to do them all as positive answers. We should have, or we might not have yet in class, talked about the different possible answers, but we're going to keep them positive. If you want to put the plus minus sign, you can. All right, so we got to ask ourselves, what possible answers could X be? Okay, what could it be? So we're looking for something that is being multiplied twice because we have an exponent of 2, and it has to equal 49. Well, there's only one perfect square that will do that, and that is 7. And we can put that answer as plus or minus 7 because also negative 7 and negative 7 also going to equal 49. So either 7 or plus or minus 7. Again, this one's just about knowing your perfect squares. The only way to get a perfect square, that means that the same number is being multiplied twice to equal 121, would be 11. So the answer would be plus or minus 11. Now we got to do a little math. Just like we isolated our plain old x, we got to isolate our x squared before we can ask ourselves those questions we asked with the last one. So I got to isolate this. The 6 is being added to it, so I'm going to subtract it on both sides. All right, that's going to leave me still with my x squared. And now this is going to become a 36, right? All right, so what times what is going to give me 36? Well, that is a 6 times a 6, or a negative 6 times a negative 6. So plus or minus 6. All right, in this one, I'm going to actually add 9 because I'm trying to isolate this x squared before I ask myself the questions of what it can be. And this is going to give me 100. Now, this goes back to knowing my perfect squares. What times what will equal 100? And that is 10. 10 times 10 equals 100, but negative 10 times negative 10 also equals 100. So I'm going to give it that plus or minus symbol. All right, now we have some more opposite operation we got to do. This time it's the opposite of multiplication. The 2 is multiplying the x squared. Always look selfishly from the unknown's point of view. What is it doing to the unknown? And since it's multiplying it, we're going to divide on both sides. So it's going to be x squared equals 25. Okay. And I have to ask myself, what times what equals 25? And that is going to be plus or minus 5. 5 times 5 equals 25. Negative 5 times negative 5 equals 25. Now in this one, I have a 1/2 being multiplied to x squared. Now if I want to undo that, I got to divide. But we all know by this point that dividing by 1/2 is just keep, change, flip, which means I'm multiplying by its reciprocal. So I'm just going to skip a couple steps and go straight to multiplying by the reciprocal over here. And that is going to give me 64. What times what gives me 64? Plus or minus 8. 2 more, and I may need a calculator for these. So if you haven't learned how to do this on a calculator yet, with the radical being your opposite operation, I probably told you not to do these 2 last ones. I think one of them stays perfect. I think 7's okay. We'll see. All right, so I'm going to add 5 to both sides because that's the opposite operation. And I'm going to get an 81. I'm going to divide out my 9. It's going to give me x squared equals 9. And the perfect square that will give me a 9 as an answer is plus or minus 3. Okay. Now over here, I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. Got a little tongue-tied. That is not going to give me a negative 672. That's the common mistake. If you made that mistake, just say, oh, I know this. I know this is adding up my debt. I know this is negative 674 degrees. I must be like on Neptune or something. And the temperature drops too. Or it's adding up my debt of all the Starbucks I bought all day long. This is negative 676. Now I got to divide by that negative 4. And if you were thinking, I don't think this can have a negative answer, you're right. We need to divide by the -4 so that our two negatives become a positive. Okay, so let's go ahead and divide this out. 4 goes into 6 one time. 4 almost goes into that 4 times, but I mean 7 times, but it doesn't. So we're going to have to go down to 6, which is 24. Gives me a remainder of 3. Still makes it come out perfect because that's going to be 6. So our answer is 166. Wait a minute, that's not, sorry, 169. 4 goes into 36 9 times. I got confused by that 6 and did it 6 times. 6 times 6. All right, so it's 169. Well, you may or may not know the square root to this one. This is a perfect square. If you know it, it's plus or minus 13. If you're like, oh, I don't know my perfect squares that high, which you should be trying to learn all the way up to 15, okay? You can use an opposite operation, and that opposite operation of a square is a square root. We probably looked at it in class about how they're just reverses of each other. They were really unique relationship, complex relationship, but unique, all right? And if you type that into your calculator, you usually have to go second square root button. If it's yellow above it or blue, then yes, that's exactly what you have to do. Then you'll find out also that it's 13. Now the calculator is only going to give you the positive because you're doing the square root. And we haven't talked about that too much yet, but we will eventually. What happens if there's negatives underneath the square root? But anyway, they're just going to give you the positive 13. You have to know that the answer could also be a negative 13. All right? Okay, thank you so much for doing this worksheet. And I'll see you guys in class with any questions. If you can't wait till our next class period, you can always email me. You know how to do that. I'll talk to you all later. Bye.